So over the holiday break, I really got into Homelabbing. There were a couple of problems. One, you can't really run a bunch of containers on a 8 gig Mac Mini without doing a lot of container maintenance, but I upgraded the RAM, I know, in 2026, and we were able to get off to the races. From there, I ran into the next problem. If things were crashing, I was spending a lot of time trying to figure out where the crashes were coming from. And that's when I decided to do a couple of things. One was check out Fluentd. Fluentd is a consolidated logging service that you can self-host, and you can definitely take all of those logs and then store them somewhere. And for me, the answer was Postgres, but not just any Postgres, Aiven for Postgres. And here's why. I didn't want all of my logs sitting on the machine that if for some reason things were wrong, I couldn't access. Two, it actually isn't that expensive. I've been running my logs for, about a month now, and I've gotten to like 15% of my disk usage for the $5 a month tier. That might sound like a lot, but honestly, it will be compressed and condensed significantly over time because, for the third reason, Aiven for Postgres instances come with tons of extensions already installed, and one of those is TimescaleDB. So since I'm grabbing a bunch of time series logs, I can then actually also do some good consolidated logging, compressing a lot of the successes, compressing the things that look normal, and then keeping more space for the things that don't. In this video, I'm going to show you how I set up consolidated logging over to my Fluentd instance with those logs being stored on Aiven for Postgres. Okay, so the first thing that we're doing right now is we're going to jump onto Fluentd. Fluentd is just your regular old logging tool. It's a unified logging layer. Basically, it can take system logs, web logs, IoT logs, all these different things. And basically, it's like a transport layer. Obviously, I could do something like grabbing all of this stuff within a streaming data service like Kafka, but I did not want to have to build it. I just wanted to host it, and Fluentd gave me the ability to do that really easy. So that's what we went with. From there, again, you have a bunch of different options: Snowflake, AWS, GCP, MongoDB. I don't see Postgres on this little image here, so what's up with that? Well, there's a Fluentd plugin for Postgres for SQL, and it allows you to store the information as SQL. And again, you can do all of this stuff to install the plugin. It's a bunch of configuration stuff. But the easiest way to do it is to install it as a container, which is what I did. Okay, so I'm in my container, and I actually store my Fluentd stuff in my telemetry folder. So I store like Fluentd, Grafana, metrics, I believe Prometheus. Yeah, metrics is Prometheus, and then just kind of the top level is just my Fluentd Docker file here. And we can see that Docker file is easy. It's just like apt-get install, build, install the Fluent plugin SQL, install. It says like you install Postgres, but like you're not actually running Postgres, and then create a log buffer there. And you're doing that from the Fluentd image itself. So this is relatively easy. Once we get that up and running, we then have to go over to the containers that we want that information in, and we set those up. So let's see, this is how you set up the plugin, but how do we tell it to talk to our Aiven for Postgres instance? And the way that we do that is by having it talk to our Docker Compose. This is what will manage all of this. And you can see here's how we connect to our Postgres instance down in the environments. Again, all this stuff is available. The only thing I had to change here was I have an environment file that has the hosting information for my Aiven for Postgres connection. And from there, it just works. So let's look at that Aiven for Postgres instance. As you can see, I have a couple of different Postgres services running, but I have this Homelab logging, and it's running on developer 1. Again, 1 CPU, 8 gigs of storage, 1 gig RAM. It doesn't take a lot. I've never stressed this database with logs. But in order to create this, I went to my project, I hit create service, Postgres, developer, found my region, picked one closest to me, gave it a name, and hit create service. And from there, it was off to the races and everything came up. Once we got there, all that information that I needed in my Docker container or in my Docker Compose file that I put in that env, I got it right here. Host, port, user, password, all those things. From there, if I want to review what's happening, I can get a quick idea. Again, I'm using like 50% of my memory over the last hour. CPU usage is really, really low. I think this little spike here, that's interesting. So that's like something that I could like check out. Oh, a bunch of logs got written all of a sudden around that time. I know what that actually was. That was from me restarting a service and troubleshooting a service that was down. So yeah, like I can come in here and see like, oh, there were a lot of issues. I could then look at that time that was there. So we have between 1441 UTC and 1444 UTC. If I wanted to actually come look at that, I can go into our AI editor and say, what happened between 1441 and 1443 today? If I don't know how to write that query, I just ask the AI editor to do it. The AI editor can see my schema right here. It can see the schema for how everything is written. And I can tell it to just run the query. And then now I can see all the logs and I can see what was possibly causing the issue. It looks like, oh, not seeing any actual log problems. We do have some errors. So like perhaps one of these services was causing some frustration and spinning things around. I do see some warnings, some monitors. I know that I was working with Uptime Kuma, and the fact that I see a few log entries here tells me that it was probably something to do with that. Maybe my LinkedIn server is having some issues. I did give it a new thing to look at, so there's that. This view is probably like, it's great when I want to go and quickly look at something, but it doesn't give me like a big picture really well. Like I still have to run queries. But again, looking at my metrics, I can see everything has been relatively light. Disk space usage, look at that, under 20%. And if we move this over the last month, it's increasing, but it's not increasing significantly. As you can see, it's actually, did it go down a little bit? It did go down a little bit. So like, there's like compression that's happening after we did an update from, you can see the node here, it says logging 1 and then switched to logging 2. That was because we ran some critical updates that actually sped up the process. If we wanted to do more of that, we could actually update our service as well. I feel like currently it's on, it's on Postgres 17. Let's upgrade our version. Postgres 18. Wonderful. We'll do that another time. But we can see all the writes that are happening. We can see our load average. Again, memory usage, networking, big network spike around that time. So that's wild. Like, we're able to look at all of this. But again, like, this isn't telling us about our database. But the nice thing is now that we have that, we can actually send all of this information to something like Grafana, which is going to give us a better view. We can see what our distribution is. Like, we have a lot of Uptime Kuma updates and we have a lot of LinkedIn updates. That's probably concerning. That's probably something that we should take a look at. I will say LinkedIn was the first service that I hosted, so it may just be that we have a bunch of older updates here. But here I can look and see all the different errors that we have. Oh, look, we have like Olama's failing. And Aiven was failing as well. And I think this is from Uptime Kuma. Yeah, those services aren't running. If I started those services, those errors would go away. So I think that there are definitely some things that we can do here, but all of this is possible because for each of those services, let's look at Uptime Kuma because we're just talking about it. The way that we connect this service to Fluentd is through let's look at that Docker container, or that Docker compose. All we do is put it on the same network as our Fluentd. That's that logging network that we talked about. From there, we say the driver is Fluentd, and here's the Fluentd address, and everything is local. We just go from there. Really easy to set up, and then just say our logging, it's external network. The name is Fluentd logging. That's it. When you start up the service, it's now sending its logs to Fluentd, which then our Grafana instance is configured to talk to. So we have, see our Grafana is, we just connect to that same Fluentd URL, or the same URL. So we're just reading the database at that point. And then we created a dashboard called container logs that gives us all this access. I mean, that's it. It's really not, it's not a massive project. It is create your database, go bring in your Docker file, set up your Docker Compose to include the information for your Aiven for Postgres database. And then for those services that you want to manage, you're going to add the Fluentd network to those services. And from there, it will just start pulling the logs in, and then everything works. It just works. And then if you want to make it easier to search, I mean, one of the things you can do, you can definitely come into the AI editor, tell it what you're looking for, and from there, it'll give you insights based on what's in your schema. And then if you want a comprehensive view, you can look at something like Grafana, where you can create dashboards and you can see what services are causing you the most consternation. That's it for this video. Let me know if you want to dive deeper into the Homelabbing plus database stuff. As you saw, I had a few different databases there. We talk about doing some telemetry stuff with Prometheus. All of these things are great because you can self-host a lot of it, but you shouldn't have the tool that's going to help you troubleshoot on the same system that's giving you problems. And that's where offloading that over to a database on Aiven for Postgres is such a good and simple solution. But engage with this video, give it a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you would like to see from the Aiven team next.